Hello everybody, this is the King of Pikmin here yet again, and as promised, I'm back with a quick video that's going to be breaking down what we've seen about Project L so far. I know we haven't seen much yet, but I saw a few things that I just wanted to point out, so this will be a quick video. Hopefully it'll shed some light on some stuff for you guys. I want to start off talking about the mechanics in Rising Thunder. Project L and Rising Thunder share a striking visual resemblance, and I do think that a lot of the mechanics that we saw in Rising Thunder are going to carry over to Project L. So first thing I'm going to talk about is the UI, and what I mean by UI is the user interface. We got the health bars, we've got the meter, and the ability cooldowns. So I'll break it down for you. At the bottom left, you'll see 3 abilities. One of them is on cooldown right now, that's why you see the timer. The other 2 are up and ready to go. And then you have 2 bars. You see they're depleted in this picture right now, but what they're used for is something called kinetic cancels, or kinetic advance cancels, which allowed you to cancel any move, special move, normal move. The only thing you couldn't cancel was a super, because that starts an animation. But this was like your prime source for combos. I'll show an example of a combo using these kinetic advance cancels. So as you saw in that combo, Talos was able to cancel a lot of his moves signified by that blue flash and dash forward. For instance, when he used the anti-gravity thing to pull them in and punch them away, he was able to dash afterwards and continue the combo. Another meter that you'd notice is underneath the health bars, the little yellow meter. That was called overdrive, and what that was is a super move. That's the only use for that one as well. It just built up over time. Both of these meters built up over time as you dealt damage and took damage. Sticking with the theme of being user-friendly, there was a lot of visual cues as to what was going on. For instance, anytime a character was invincible, they glowed with like a gold aura, whereas in a game like Street Fighter, when a character is invincible, there's no visual tell, you just have to know. I think a lot of stuff like that is going to be carrying over because they're going to want a League of Legends fighting game to be pretty accessible. Also in Rising Thunder, you were able to sprint and there was no stamina bar or anything like that, so you could just run full screen at any time by forward dashing and holding forward. Now I want to talk about what we've seen so far about Project L's user interface, which is still in very, very early development, so keep in mind that could change at any minute. But so far, there's some similarities to Rising Thunder that I've noticed, so I want to talk about some of those. So here we have a fight between Darius and Katarina, and you'll see at the top, underneath the timer, a little yellow bar leading towards Darius's side, which leads me to believe that we're going to be having like the overdrive type system. It's probably not going to be called overdrive, but I'm guessing that's going to be like a super move as well, like in Rising Thunder. Katarina right now doesn't look like any of that bar is really in her side, so maybe she's already used hers. They're both pretty low in health, so it's definitely possible she already used hers and we didn't get to see it. I do also want to point out that the meter system seems a lot different. There's 4 separate blocks rather than just 2, and we actually see Katarina use some of her meter here in a second. We also see her sprint, so we know the sprint's going to be coming back. It might be character specific, it might be an actual mechanic, time will tell. But basically what I'm saying is the meter system is going to be different from Rising Thunder because we see Katarina use what looks like a special move that's enhanced because she loses a bar, teleports forward, glows gold, and then does an attack. Now, if this gold glow signifies meter usage or if it signifies invincibility like it did in Rising Thunder remains to be seen. Another thing that I found interesting is the character symbols at the bottom right and bottom left. Katarina's is like 5 notches or 4, I can't tell really. And then Darius's is his classic like dragon symbol, and it's like partially white and partially red. I don't know if it's like a meter that's filling, maybe like a trait from Injustice style games. Hers is fully red, so maybe hers is ready. Or red means it's depleted. I really don't know. I know in the League of Legends fight, in the actual game of League of Legends, Darius's passive ability is to stack bleeding damage and whatnot. So maybe there's going to be some sort of passive. Maybe those are passive abilities for the fighting game to further take from the original source material. Now to talk about some character specific stuff that I noticed. First up, we have here what looks like concept art to me on Darius's grab. The first panel is him reaching out. Second panel is him pulling Katarina in and looks like headbutting her in the face and then kicking her away. My assumption is that that's a grab. And in Rising Thunder, you could actually cancel forward grabs using that kinetic cancel ability that I was telling you guys about and combo from them. So maybe you're able to do this forward throw with Darius, kick them away, they stay standing, and you could somehow use meter to dash up and continue a combo. That's if they keep that mechanic from Rising Thunder. And now I'll go over the obvious stuff. So the announced characters we have so far are Ahri. The only thing we see her doing is this magic spell, which doesn't really resemble anything she does in the actual game. I mean, she does a lot of magical stuff, but she always throws orbs, or she has that charm ability that taunts you so that you run at her. It fits with her character that she's doing like this ground sweep with magic. And then of course the character we see most of so far is Darius, and we see him launching Ahri with an uppercut and then grabbing her and pulling her back down to the ground, which it has a very, very similar animation and feel to Darius's E ability from League of Legends, where he just sticks the axe out and pulls everyone towards him. The way that he reaches out and hooks her in the air and slams her on the ground reminds me of that, which is very cool to see, because it's cool seeing like an ability from the game carry over directly to this new fighting game. The other character that we had announced is Jinx, and she does a very similar thing to Darius, just with a different finisher. She's got like a swiping uppercut that then she unleashes a barrage of bullets that juggles Katarina in the air. Again, Jinx is a character that doesn't have any melee attacks whatsoever in League of Legends, so it's interesting seeing her do something like that, but it looks like they're keeping the character true to herself, just a quick swipe and then gunshots. Another thing I wanted to mention that I missed is the backflip that Katarina does here has like a white flash and glow, which makes me think that that's the new invincibility animation, because Rising Thunder had a very similar thing where if you juggled someone for too long, they would do a backflip, glow gold to signify invincibility, and drop to the ground. So this is probably the new visual tell of invincibility. And then, much to my dismay, as I've already talked about, Katarina's been announced. And we see her doing like a quick little flurry against Darius in the air and dropping back to the ground. And this is where we see her use meter. So she teleports all over the place in the actual League of Legends game, so it makes sense that she's got like a teleport in this as well. And we see that she loses a block of meter for doing that. So unfortunately, that's really all we've seen so far, guys, so I'll do a quick recap. So to me, the game looks very similar to Rising Thunder visually, but it looks like they're innovating a lot and changing things around. For instance, we didn't have any mention, or on the UI, we didn't see any ability cooldowns or anything like that, so they might be doing away with that system and going with a more traditional fighting game style. Me personally, I think that it's so early in development that there's just no visual indicator for it yet. In the development build, they did say that they're going to be going dark for a while because they're still very early in development, so there's a lot that can still change. Project L seems to be utilizing a more traditional meter system with the 4 blocks rather than just 2, and maybe amplified special moves, whereas Rising Thunder had nothing of that sort. One thing that really intrigues me is the character symbols at the bottom right. It really makes me think there's going to be like a trait or passive ability for each character, which really makes sense given the MOBA nature of the original game. All the characters seem to be doing stuff that's very true to their character, which isn't surprising, but it's still good to see. Feel free to put down in the comments below what you think about everything that I pointed out. What are your thoughts? What do you think all this means? It's still very, very, very early, but I still just like talking about it and keeping my mind rolling on the possibilities. All in all, we've seen so little, but I'm still so excited, and I have high hopes. I think it's in good hands, and I think it's going to turn out to be a really good game. It looks very similar to Rising Thunder, which when I played it, I had a ton of fun. So if it plays similarly to that, I know I'll like it. And then especially if we get Braum in there, that's the cherry on top, baby. Putting Braum in the game, making him a grappler wouldn't hurt. But I'm going to be ranting forever, so I'm going to end it here. Hopefully I didn't miss too much, but there's not much to go off of. So like I said, put your speculation down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll see you in my next video. It's going to be a while before we get more information on Project L by the sound of it, but as soon as that time comes, I'll be right there and ready. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for tuning in.